Good, I feel like we can all win.
The line is open. Today's call is being recorded. Please stand by for opening remarks.
In case I can't remember people's names.
Go ahead, Paul.
Hey, everybody, thank you for joining us tonight. Coming off of what I thought was an ultra successful Wargames Nxt Takeover here in Chicago tonight, and coming off also what's been an incredible month and a half, maybe 2 months for NXT as a brand with hitting USA, running live 2 hours every week, and in my opinion, just creatively knocking that out of the park every week and putting on amazing shows to, Raw, SmackDown almost every week. This brand performing, triple duty, so to speak. It's been an incredible run, incredible period of time. Coming off Wargames tonight, which I felt top to bottom was just spectacular, and everybody was healthy, thank God, for the most part. And also, we've had a couple of takeovers in this market, highest grossing, highest attended, and in a week where you're doing 4 shows back to back, Friday night SmackDown, a Takeover, Survivor Series, and Raw, that's saying something. So incredible night across the board. Proud of this brand, and I a lot of them are going to go out there tomorrow night, Iron Men and women, and they're going to knock it out of the park again. This is the stuff when you're a young talent. It's hard to express. This is the kind of stuff that, for me, when I was that age, I would have been like, oh my God, this is the greatest thing in the world. Like having this challenge night after night, and then knowing that you're going to do War Games tonight and then Survivor Series tomorrow. Like, to me, this would have been the be-all, end-all. And talking to them now, I think they agree with that, and I think everybody here feels the same way. It's just like this is the ultimate challenge of being able to prove the stuff that you're going to be able to look back at later in your career and say, man, we were the Iron Man of that time frame. So with that, I'm going to open it up to questions. And wait, you want me to say this?
Yeah.
Oh, it's not as magical now that I just said you want me to say this. It's a note that he handed to me, but it is a fact that Shawn Michaels will announce the NXT Men's Survivor Series team tomorrow on the Survivor Series kickoff panel. We wanted to really wait. Part of it was great for intriguing for the creative aspect of the show, but also we wanted to wait before saying who was going to be in Survivor Series tomorrow on any of these matches, for the most part, especially the 5-on-5, to see who actually came out of War Games injury-free. And, knowing that, anything can happen in these. And, when we have these, I hold my breath until the show is over, so to speak, and they kind of give me that last, everybody's okay, because you just don't know. And it's risk to reward. We're taking risks, but we're trying to do it in the most careful way possible. But it is what it is. So we wanted to wait until tomorrow. Shawn will announce that tomorrow. Tonight, for anybody that missed it, Rhea Ripley just announced that on Facebook Live that her team for tomorrow is herself, Rhea Ripley, Io Shirai, who she explained, going into War Games, you just earn respect for people that are just incredible performers. So Io Shirai, Bianca Belair, she knows that she can trust Candice LeRae, and somebody that she's known since she was 16 years old, and that would be Toni Storm. So hard to really not look at that and say that is the deepest team out of Raw, out of SmackDown, and NXT. That is the deepest, most talented team of the group. So it should be spectacular. I know they'll knock it out of the park. And a little earlier on Facebook, apparently somebody pointed out to me on the way in the door here, I said team captain Tommaso Ciampa would announce his men's team tomorrow. That was not what I meant. I don't know why I said Tommaso Ciampa. I actually meant William Regal. The beauty of live Facebook stuff is saying the wrong name. It's been a long day. But William Regal will be announcing, obviously, or having thoughts about who we put in that team, and Shawn will be announcing that tomorrow. So with that, I'll open it up to questions.
All right, so we're going to start in the room. Anyone? Nick?
Yeah, sure. Paul, Nick.
Say who you are. Yeah.
Yeah, Nick Hausman with Wrestling Inc. You guys were teasing a very big surprise as the fourth member for Team Ciampa. Kevin Owens got a huge reaction, but we are in Chicago. CM Punk is backstage on back on WWE TV as part of Backstage. Have you talked to Punk at all since he came to Backstage?
I have not.
Okay. So is there any interest in him coming to NXT or working at the Performance Center?
No, I have not spoken to him. So, yeah, to be honest, we've not had that conversation. I know, he's working for Fox, and it's a bit of an arm's length from us, which, look, all this stuff is baby steps, but it's one of those things when people want something so bad, they're like, so you're saying there's a chance, you know what I mean? That's the moment in time that we're in. I even felt like today there was a moment where Sam Roberts was going to say or had said in the kickoff show a couple of times, or I can't remember if he actually said it or was about to say, the person is in Chicago, and I was like, don't say the person in Chicago in the same sentence, because I feel like you're setting that up. The person is here is fine, right? It's just I understand it and I get it, but it is what it is at this point in time. Be happy. He's on Backstage. He's doing something in the business again, and that is what it is. The rest of it, I've said it a million times. We've all said it. Never say never, but that's a long, long way from. And I know when you say that, then people immediately go, "They're working us," because there's nothing that you can say that will make people think otherwise. It is what it is. But I promised an epic moment tonight. I think Kevin Owens more than delivered. Blew the roof off the building here, and just knowing Kevin as well as I know Kevin, this was probably one of the biggest moments he's had in a long, long time that he's been looking forward to for a long time. So it was awesome to see him in an NXT ring again.
It was. And my follow-up would be, it was not lost on anyone that Matt Riddle hit the spear and the jackhammer tonight. Is there any interest in moving in the direction of a Matt Riddle versus Goldberg match, Jonathan?
That's Goldberg.
Okay.
I don't know. I bet you remember. I don't know. I've heard of one of the confrontations they've had off camera that seemed like he would be interested in a match. I just don't know if on TV or. Look, who knows, right? I think there's a moment in time. I think that I didn't know he was going to do that. I think Matt's very smart. It obviously.
You didn't know he was going to do that?
Obviously garners attention. This is not the tell me everything you're going to do deal. So I certainly don't have a problem with it. I think if he thought that I did have a problem with it, he would have done it. I think there's a trust there. But it's one of those moments. It creates a lot of buzz. So I don't know that. I don't know that he thought much more about it than when in that moment in time it seemed like the thing to do, right? And I think if you've ever met Matt Riddle, that's kind of how he operates as a human being.
Yes,
seemed like the thing to do at the time, bro.
It was a good idea, man. Got people talking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So.
Stephen Milhausen Sporting, nice to be here, Paul. And just kind of follow on what Nick was saying about Kevin, and a lot of people saying on social media, what's going on right now with Kevin since he's on Survivor Series tomorrow night with Team Raw. Is it back to NXT full time, or is he going to still be in the match tomorrow night?
To be honest, I'm not sure at this time. If he is in the match, interesting. Is he really in the match, or is he? You know what I mean? Like, that's an interesting dilemma, isn't it? If he's on Team Raw, but the night before he was facing off with the Undisputed Era and teaming up with Tommaso Ciampa and all those guys in NXT, interesting. What could happen there? I don't know. This is a moment in time of a lot of things have happened. It's funny how a mechanical issue with a plane that people blow up into something so much more, but a mechanical issue in a plane can create chaos that creates so much special, magical moments within it. And when you can capitalize on those things, it's amazing. So to me, that's what this whole month has been, and this is a part of that. Where does that go? Unsure. It sure does make it interesting.
In the follow-up, when you look at the end of the match, and you see Tommaso and you see Adam on the top of the cage, what is running through your mind from the time you're getting ready to when the move is getting ready to happen to the time they go through the air and through to the table.
Yeah, those are the moments where I'm just holding my breath. And, you know, the truth is, in this business, I've seen more people get injured, including myself, on dumb little things that, you know, the stuff that the big, giant spectacle spots that you really put so much care and thought into, yes, they're extremely dangerous. Yes, they're extremely impactful, but it's funny, just more often than not, it's the guy running across the ring that just turns his ankle and, you know, he's out 6 months or whatever. But those moments, you can't help it. You know they're coming. You know what's happening, and especially in big ones like that, because that is stuff that I absolutely know, and I absolutely sign off on. There's certain things where I believe they can do safely, and I believe the risk-to-reward ratio is reasonable. But there are also things that were brought up tonight where I was like, yeah, absolutely not. Like, no, we're not doing that, guys. Like, as much as I love you guys and want you to tear it up, like you were going to tear it up with all the other stuff you have, you don't need that, right? There's always that for everybody. So, but that's when you hold your breath and you wait for the landing, and you're just waiting for that referee to be able to tell you everybody's okay.
Yeah.
You know.
All right, so let's go to the phones. We'll keep it at one question per outlet just to try to get through as many people as we can.
We'll go to Mike Johnson, pwinsider.com.
Hey, Paul, how are you?
Shocking.
Hey, there you go, Mike.
I'm back on
Gotta get
top.
up early to beat you.
I've been on hold since Wednesday.
There you go.
Thanks. I want to talk about the women.
Never hang. Just don't hang up.
I'll do what I can. I want to talk about the women's Wargames match, specifically the Tegan Knox Dakota Kai stuff. That was obviously something that had been brewing for some times, and just when we thought we knew where we were going, you kind of made a left at Albuquerque. Talk a little bit about the how long the planning was for all that, and your thoughts overall on the women's Wargames, because I thought they overexceeded any expectations.
Yeah, look, as high as, I believe in them, I think, more than anybody, right? And as high as my expectations were. When this first idea was first brought up, women's war games, there were some people that thought, absolutely. There were some people that thought, oof, you're putting them in a really tough spot to be able to do that and deliver, and, you know, the storytelling aspect along with everything else. Like, it was a debate. We debated it heavily. But the belief that they could deliver. Once that was the belief, the idea was where we are at this moment of time, the Tegan, the Dakota, the moment, that was day one. That was day one of this plan of where we were going with all of that. It was kind of sort of came along the idea of, if we did women's war games, if we did this, what if we were able to do that? You know, and it went from there. So right from the get-go, that wasn't a last minute, that wasn't an audible, that was that was the design. Geez, I hate putting a time frame on things because time flies, but it was a design from step one.
All right, thank you. Have a good night, and congratulations on a great show.
Thank you very much. Thanks for waiting so long on the phone since last week, you know.
And we'll go next to Jason Powell, ProWrestling.net.
Yeah, hey, Paul, with
Jason.
NXT Takeover Portland listed for a Sunday night, are you guys considering a switch to a traditional 3-hour format for a standalone show? And either way, will Takeover specials start being offered on pay-per-view in addition to WWE Network? It seems like there's some additional revenue possibilities there.
Yeah, you know, to be honest, I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know. I don't know the answer to as far as the pay-per-view or anything else revenue question. I'm not really 100% sure. I know that the majority of people watch on the network. The decision to go on Sunday, I think there's a long tradition of Sundays and pay-per-views themselves. I think I had mentioned it early in the year about sort of uncoupling some of the takeovers and running them independently. So the idea to have, you know, individual takeovers where they can mean more. I think adding more and more live content, not just in pockets of time, But in, when you think about it in some ways, like a week like tonight, 3 hours Monday, 2 hours Wednesday, 2 hours Friday, 3 hours tonight. I can't even put a number on how many hours tomorrow. 3 hours again on Monday. Like, that's a lot.
You're telling
me. It's just a lot, right? And to be able to spread that out, I think, is more meaningful. To be able to move that around is more meaningful. We just announced UK takeover for Blackpool for the NXT UK brand. You're going to see more of that. You're going to see more of that kind of standalone and having more and more live content in that manner on the WWE Network going forward.
Awesome. Thanks for the time.
Thank you.
And on the phone, we have Jim Barcelone, Miami Herald.
Hey, Paul. Great show tonight again.
Thank you so much.
Just want to know with the broadcast team, talk about Morrow a little bit. I'm thinking that, right, the Adam Cole Pete Dunne match tomorrow night, that the NXT broadcast team will call that. But I'm also wondering, if that's the case, will they be a part of any of the other matches because you have NXT versus Raw versus SmackDown?
Yeah, there's a whole plan tomorrow. I was laughing with Michael Cole. So he controls those teams, and I was laughing with Michael Cole the other day. I was like, oh my God, there's like more announcers than there are, I think, talent going to be in the building. Like 48 announce teams for all these brands and all that stuff, and they're all going to call stuff. But yeah, Mauro will be there, Beth will be there, Nigel will be there, everybody's there. As far as who's doing what matches, when, where, and how, it's kind of a mix, and they're switching off on different things here and there. So, but I believe that the intent is wherever there is NXT involved in a brand, there will be some type of representation of NXT voice, so to speak, within that brand, whether that's Beth, Nigel, or Mauro. So you will absolutely see them within the show tomorrow. I think it's fair for all the brands to have that representation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll next go to Kelly Wells, PWTorch.com.
Hey, Kelly.
Hey there. Sorry about that. At the risk of belaboring the point, wow, what a show. Thank you.
Thank you.
So the women's match
say that
tonight.
Too much, by the way. Anybody that wants to get on the line and just say, wow, what a show, that's awesome. You say that all day. It doesn't bother me.
Sounds good. I do have more, but sounds good.
Right.
The women's match tonight, it obviously did a great job of putting over Rhea, that's the obvious, and Dakota and Candice and Tegan, and I think a lot of these talents came out with, you came out of these matches with a lot more, a very clear direction of where these matches are going to go, whether they're on TV or on TakeOver, and Wargames has always been good as a match, but this time it seemed like these long-term plans were in place, and in both of them you came out with much more intriguing stories than we did in the past. And I was just wondering if there was any creative force, whether they be on screen or backstage, that you would call out as being instrumental in the telling of these really engaging stories this year.
So I think it's the whole team. For me to call out one or two people would be unfair. But there's a whole team and that includes the talent, that includes coaches and production people, and we collaboratively work together to make these things the best. I don't care where the idea comes from, whether the good ideas or not. Talent are just as much of the product and the collaborative effort of all of this, and to its success. I just think that there's an ebb and flow in the business, right? In that, at moments in time, you need to tell the chapter of the story that gets you, oh my God, I can't believe that happened, and it gets me to the next chapter. Like, I can't wait to turn the page to the next chapter. But there also has to be those chapters that go like, wow, that was the end of this epic story, and I don't know where they're going to go next, but holy cow, that was almost like the season finale kind of thing. I think there's different moments of where you are with different shows, right? Sometimes you're going to do a show that feels like sort of the end of all this culmination of all these stuff, these different storyline beats, and then when you get there, man, they all hopefully delivered, and you feel satisfied with all of it. And then when you say, like, where are they going to go tomorrow? Like, well, I don't even know where they would start. You know, that's great storytelling. There's also great storytelling where you do these moments and you think you're going to get that kind of payoff, and you almost come out of it with, you know, more questions and more creative directions than you thought you had before, right? Like each Star Wars movie either has a different take, right? It either feels like the end of a story or it feels like it might be the beginning of a story. Sometimes they're great where it's the end of a story and also the beginning of more stories. Like, oh my God, those are the best ones. Like, so it's all an ebb and a flow of where you're at in that moment in time. As for these, I felt like we did a really good job. Talent did a really good job in ring of telling stories that captivated you to tomorrow. Like, I almost feel like there's as much intrigue of tomorrow now, or I don't necessarily mean tomorrow being Survivor, but I mean tomorrow in the NXT world of what, oh my God, what happens on Wednesday? Where does this go? And even before you get there, how does that all spill over into tomorrow where they have to go to battle against Raw and SmackDown, and do these teams, some of these teams hold together? Do some of these, alliances hold together, or do they fall apart and lead you to something even bigger within the NXT landscape? So those are all really intriguing stories, and I think that it just makes you want to tune in, right? It does me, anyway.
Yeah, well, I absolutely agree with you there. High fives to the whole team, and thanks for a great show.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we're going to go back to the room for another question.
Hi, Ross Berman with WrestleZone. First of all, congratulations. Amazing show. I want to ask about something you said earlier about uncoupling the takeovers from the traditional WWE pay-per-views, even doing them on Sunday. Is there any chance that NXT is going to start doing more international takeovers, or is the idea that international takeovers should be reserved for the NXT region that area would be representing?
I think that's a little bit of a work in progress, but I do look. It's a big world with a lot of really cool places to go work. Would I love to, as much as I can look at the UK and say, we're going back to Blackpool, I think they would do spectacularly in London. I also think we'd go to, the Hydro and blow it out in Glasgow. I think, we went to Cardiff and just, it was amazing. There's so many places, and that's just picking the places we go to on a regular basis. I think when you even get outside of those and start going to different countries and regions, oh my gosh, right? And then you start talking about NXT here, you bring those to this NXT US brand to any one of those places and kill it. I think you could go to Japan, you could go to Australia, you could go, right? It's a big world. I love to look at all of it. I love to bring them to all of it. Trying to figure out how to make that happen with live TV and everything else, right? That's the trick. But I do believe that, uncoupling them off of some of the, and I'm not talking about WrestleMania, because obviously there's still going to be a TakeOver WrestleMania weekend. I think there's still going to be a TakeOver on SummerSlam weekend, because those are big ticket events where people are kind of coming in, and it's the big long trip to Mecca, right? And you're going to come there. You got to go to WrestleMania week once in your life, and you got to do all the gigs and all the shows and access and everything else, and that's what all of this is. But the other ones, where they were always kind of piggyback together, I think it makes sense to split them apart. I'd love it to get to a place, and I think a lot of people would, where, every weekend you're going like, hey, what matches are on the WWE Network Live this weekend? What's the card this weekend? Oh, it's TakeOver this weekend. Oh, it's UK TakeOver this weekend. Oh, this weekend is TLC. That's the kind of thing where I think when you start getting into that and live on a reoccurring basis like that and spreading that stuff out, the value increases dramatically.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
Okay, we're going to do two more on the phone, and then we're going to call it a night.
And we'll go to Ryan Satin with Pro Wrestling Sheet.
Hey, Paul. Great show tonight. So how does it feel for you personally? How does it feel for you personally just to see the excitement over superstars like Kevin Owens, Finn Balor, and the Revival returning to the brand from both the wrestlers themselves and the fans?
Look, I think it's amazing. One of the coolest things for me is how many of the talent, for a myriad of reasons that you can imagine, come to me on a regular basis need somebody at NXT. Hey, I'd love to go to the UK, and I'd love to get in there. I'd love to do this. I'd love to do that. If there's a need, man, what do you want? Sometimes talent are off, and they call up, and it's the funniest thing, people book schedules or whatever, but then you give talent a week off, and the first thing I do when you give them a week off is they give me a call and go, hey, I saw that NXT's running in St. Louis or something. Any way I could get on those shows? It speaks to the brand. It speaks to the fan base. There's just something special about it. And when you step into it, I don't care where you go to, the live events. If you guys have been to them, you know what I'm talking about. Like even when I go there, it's just a different buzz. Somebody said to me one time that the WWE is awesome. It's like these big family reunions, and it's so much fun, and you're seeing all these people, and the shows are great, and it's entertaining and all that stuff. But going to NXT is like being in the middle of a riot. It's a different vibe and a different feel, and that's cool. And I think that having that for talent to be able to come back, I can tell you that when the revival came, or we had that conversation about them coming in, which first of all they've been asking me about forever, and when I said, hey, you want to come and work with UE, first of all they were just like, well, yeah, not even a question, yes. And then a couple minutes later they came back by me and they were like, hey, how much time will we have? And I kind of said what I was thinking, and they were like, oh my God, like, yeah, oh, thank you so much, this will be amazing. Like they were just, like little kids, getting let loose in a candy store, and that's cool. It's a testament to the brand. It's a testament to everybody that's there that they want to do that, and to the fan base for, bringing that excitement and level of passion. The fan base of NXT brings that passion to the talent, and then the talent bring their passion back to them. It's this symbiotic relationship between the two, and that is something special that they all just want to be a part of. And I'm not saying that doesn't exist in the WWE, but they get that fix on a regular basis, and there's a slightly different feel to it. So every now and then you just want to pop back in there and get that other fix and feel something different, And I can't tell you how many talent, Finn was one of them, walk back in the door, and they've done WrestleMania now in front of 80,000 people, and they walk into Full Sail, and then we're going to do something on TV, and they come to me an hour beforehand like, dude, I haven't been this nervous in years. It's a different vibe. It's a different world. It's awesome.
Yeah, totally. Well, thanks again for doing this.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, this will be the final question.
We'll go to Sean Ross Sapp, Fightful.
Hey, Sean.
Hey, Paul. Thanks for taking the time. Obviously, NXT does things a little bit differently, but we saw Britt Baker, who works for a competitor, shown on the broadcast, a very clear camera shot on her, and even referenced on commentary. How do you kind of come to terms with that? And because it's not something that's done often.
Yeah. So look, I just had this conversation. I just saw her a minute ago. And I said it to Adam before I saw her. I was like, oh, dude, they took a shot. I swear this. The director that took the shot didn't know who it was. Just went to the woman in the crowd that was the most, had the most concerned, crazy look on her face, and he took the shot. The second he took the shot, somebody next to him, I'm sure, said who, and he got off the shot. I don't have a problem with it in any way, shape, or form, and then to not address it, then it's the elephant in the room that you don't address. Like you're making it like now it's weird, right? So you gotta address it. I don't have a problem with it any way, shape, or form, but I would never want to put a talent in that position. I get why she's here. I get who she's here with. And I would never want to put her in a position where I took a shot of her and it gets her heat, or it gets her to have a problem with her, employers and people and what she's doing. I wouldn't want that to be a problem for her. And it very easily could be. And it also can create a problem with, not that anybody on the internet would wind stuff up, ever. but it just makes some... Yeah, but it just makes something sometimes that is nothing, right? And So when I saw that at first, I was like, "Oh my God, was that it for it?" And then it was like, "Oh, like I feel bad because I don't want to ever put somebody like that in a position where that could be problematic for anyone. It doesn't need to happen. And unfortunately, it's the second time it's happened. For whatever reason, I don't know. I got to talk to the people, and everybody will not believe in this, and they will think this is absolutely not. But like the one other time, she was sitting right next to Steph, and we just took Steph in the camera shot. I don't know that anybody at that moment in time even knew who it was sitting next to Steph. They just thought it was somebody sitting next to Steph. So it's just one of those things, and while I don't have a problem with it at all, I don't even have a problem with it being on camera. I don't have a problem with it saying it. I just would never want it to be problematic for somebody else because, look, I'm happy for her. She's got a good thing going on. She's killing it. She's doing a great job, and that's awesome. And I certainly would never want that to interfere with what she does.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you. Was that the last one?
Yes.
So I appreciate everybody jumping on this call. I can't tell you, for me, coming in here today and everything, this is one of my favorite buildings. It's just a phenomenal place as a talent. Come here when we were coming here during the Attitude Era. It's always one of my favorite buildings. And to come here tonight and watch these talent all do this, their passion, everybody in NXT, from our crew to the camera guys to directors to on-camera people to in-ring talent and everything, the passion is infectious. And I can't tell you enough that when I come here and I see everybody, how hard they work and the passion that goes into it for me, it's inspiring. And it just makes me want to go 24/7 for them, to give them everything they ever wanted out of this business and then some. And that's what I saw here tonight, was just passion at a whole different level than I often see, and then that is out there in a lot of ways. So it was an awesome night. I'm so proud of all of them, and I look forward to doing it again. But thank you all for the support on this. Thank you for taking the time to make the call, and I will talk to you next time. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Enjoy Survivor Series tomorrow.
And that does conclude today's conference call. We thank you all.